Our guest today, a member of a great Canadian sporting family, Paul Gardner, former scoring star who once led the NHL in power play goals on two separate occasions. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show. Coming up! Our guest today was born in Fort Erie, grew up in Leaside. He is a heck of a baseball player, a member of the famed Gardner hockey clan. He was a center. He scored 87 goals in 44 games one year with the St. Michael's Buzzers. He had 69 goals and 75 assists and 144 points for the Oshawa Generals one year. He scored 30 or more goals in the NHL 5 times. He twice led the NHL in power play goals. 201 goals, 201 assists, and 427 NHL games with Colorado, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Washington, and Buffalo. He has also coached in the AHL, the NHL, and the KHL. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Paul Gardner. Paul, great to have you here, my friend.
Great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it very much.
We want to get into your hockey family, and you told us about that jersey behind you. Your dad, Cal, was a great NHL hockey player, an all-star. What was it like growing up with a great lace player for a father?
It was terrific. Dad never bragged or talked much about his career unless people asked him questions, obviously. And I don't think David and I realized how great it was to have a father that played in the NHL. Till was probably later in life type of thing. But Dad was terrific. Him and Mom made sure we got to our games on time and took care of our equipment and things like that. Didn't talk much or a lot of advice, just a few things every now and then. But he'd go sit in the corner with his coffee and watch the game. We'd talk a little when we went home, and always had a few things to say. But Dad was terrific. He was a everybody's proud of their parents, and I certainly am. They were the best for me.
So yeah, it sounds like he really didn't push it too hard. He was just there, right? It was just a good
Yeah,
example for you.
exactly. He made we played our hockey in the hockey season in the winter, and then he'd take us to the golf course, and we'd play lots of golf together as a family. And David and I both played baseball. We loved baseball, and so we would play with that and travel around with baseball. But when it came time to play hockey, it was time to go. I remember one night driving in the car, sort of yawning and stuff, and saying I was tired. And he said, "Well, you don't want to play? Let's go home." And sort of, just said he's not going to push me at it, but it sort of grabbed my attention, and I never yawned in the
Yeah.
car again.
No, it's okay, Dad. Hockey is good. Yeah, yeah, we're good. So
Yeah.
the jersey behind you, we were talking before we came on. It's from his cup-winning goal in 1949. He was wearing that jersey, and he was also a member of that 1951-52 team. Sorry, the 51 team when the great Bill Barilko scored that awesome goal. And as you mentioned, he was on the ice.
Right. He's the jersey was given to him after he scored the winning goal, and he just kept it in the house, folded upstairs in his dresser, and Mom had mothballs there to make sure that it smelled nice and stuff. But he didn't pull it out very often, and I bet I was 20 or 21, and I asked about the jersey and said, if ever Dad wants to do something with it, I'd love to have it. And maybe 7, 8 years later, when I was in Nashville, he came down and he said, "Paul, I'm a little cold. Can you go up and get my sweater out of the suitcase?" And sure enough, it was the jersey. And my wife and I had it framed, and she knows that if the house is on fire, I'm getting the jersey first, and then I'll come back and get her. So,
Well,
um,
I don't
as
blame
for
you. Yeah.
yeah, and the winning goal again with Mr. Barilko scoring. Dad talked a little bit about it, and he was the left winger on that line at the time. And you can see in the picture of the goal going in, Dad's turning, sort of got his back to us, but he's turning to head back. And he said he was going to pick up his wing, and Baruco jumped by him and scored the goal. So obviously a great celebration there. There's Dad going across.
There he is right there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but he was thinking defense. He said, which with for David and I wasn't what we thought most of the time. We thought offense. So
And there's the ensuing celebration, but what a time it was. And, I'm looking at that Leaf jersey. You said if there's a house on fire, that's the first thing that's you're getting out of the house. Like how many guys have a Maple Leaf jersey worn by a Stanley Cup winner, and here's some more celebration after that victory in
yeah,
1951. Yeah, pretty awesome.
there's Dad right. Yeah, Dad with his back 17 there. Yes, yeah. It's
Yeah,
so there he is. They just
yeah,
picked him
yeah. There
up,
it
and
is right
again,
there.
that's father right
Yeah,
there. Yes.
pretty cool.
Great memories. I don't think David and I understood how great it was again till we got older and played in the NHL and traveled a little bit. But as again, Dad didn't flaunt it at all. He just was real quiet about hockey.
So we have, our friend Paul Pasco has dug up some great video and clips for us. We actually have a clip from your dad. This is from 1959 now. Your dad was with Boston at the time in the press box when the Bruins were facing the Leafs in round one of the playoffs. And this is from the interview that he did during that game.
Okay,
Well, I would say that
super.
the referee will have to be on the ball this last period because the first two periods are pretty rough, and he's got to stop all this high sticking, as I say, and also the elbowing.
Well, I think perhaps the officiating there, it seemed to go in a spotty way. In fact, they seemed to let things get away out of hand, didn't you think, for a while?
He did. If he'd have stepped in sooner, I think he would have controlled it. But as I say, it's pretty tough for a referee. He's got so many things to do out there and watch both sides that I'd say that he's done fairly well for the way the game has gone.
Couple of things coming out of that one. So first of all, Foster Hewitt doing the interview, that's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Your dad commending the referees. Is that something that unusual, certainly in this day and age?
Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely be unusual for Dad to be commending the referees, but uh, Dad, played a pretty physical game, from what I understand. I don't have a lot of film of him, but a lot of men that I ran into later on when he was playing old timers and stuff would tell me how tough he was, and I know he played a pretty physical game and things like that. So. Again, he liked the rough stuff. He didn't mind us getting involved in it, and just told us to keep our heads up all the time and be aware of everything. So yeah, that's sort of the way we went.
So next in line in the Gardner clan is your brother Dave, great player as well. We have some video of Dave with the Cleveland Barons back in 1978. What did you learn having Dave come up in front of you?
A lot, but real quietly. He again didn't say a whole lot. Just by his example, what he did, how he worked hard, how he was tried to be a team player. His skill was amazing. I would have loved to seen David play nowadays. I don't think he was, when the physical part of the game wasn't his. And but on skill wise, he was tremendous. Just a tremendous athlete. He could go pick up a tennis racket and serve an ace. He was a scratch golfer. He played against Dale Talon actually in the Ontario Junior Championship
Wow.
many years ago. But David had all the skills, and but he wouldn't say, again, he wouldn't say much to me about where I was playing or how I was playing and things like that. The funny story in the family was when we first met on our first time in the NHL together. It was in Montreal, and David phoned Mom right away because he wanted to change my clothes. He wanted to get me a couple suits and everything. He loved to dress, and I really didn't. I shouldn't say didn't care, but I wasn't as into it as he was. But being in Montreal, he had all the tailors and suits there. So first thing I did was went in the next day and ordered 3 suits to make him happy.
Well, you becoming a sharp dressed man here, thanks to Dave. That's good. So the uh, pressure from having your dad and your brother play, in big league hockey before you, obviously didn't bother you at all because the one year with the Buzzers, 87 goals in 44 games. That's unbelievable. How would you do that?
I wasn't supposed to make the team that year. The original lineup came out, and about a week before game one, and my name wasn't on it. They had me on the juvenile team, but something changed during the week, and I got into the opening game and scored a hat trick, and just ended up having a lot of success with the St. Mike's team. Les Duff was my coach, Dickie's brother, and he gave me a lot of ice
Uh-huh.
time, and things just went extremely well. And halfway through that year, the Toronto Marlies came. They wanted me to come up and play Junior A for them, and Dad said no. He's going to stay and play Junior B, and we'll see what next year brings him. But yeah, it was a fun year. St. Mike's was a great school to go to. Again, to follow David there and all the priests and some great guys that I went to school with there.
And from there on to Oshawa, so you didn't go to the Marlies, obviously, and with the Generals, how'd you end up with Oshawa?
Well, we had said that I wasn't going to go because I hadn't been drafted the year before. We had said that I wasn't leaving home. I was going to go play with the Marlies, and don't draft me. And the Marlies are going to take me in the last round. And I think Mr. Eagleson had said that, but it went to about round four, and Oshawa took a chance. Gus Bodner was the coach there, and they took a chance and drafted me. And um, well, we weren't very happy at the time, but it ended up working out pretty well. What I did was I took St. Mike's grade 13. I only took 3 classes in the morning, and I would drive to Oshawa in the afternoon, practice,
Oh,
come home,
wow.
and live at home. So I was able to live at home for the 2 years. It took my grade 13 took 2 years, but I was able to graduate high school and have a good, successful time in Oshawa and able to be drafted.
Yeah, because if you had to drive from St. Mike's to Oshawa nowadays, it would be an impossible task.
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty sure about that.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, despite all the travel and everything else, 69 goals and 75 assists. That's in 65 games. Uh, so how to go with the Jennies and tell us about that particular time? And you said with
Well, I
Gus.
mean, I enjoyed my time there. Again, I had a real good bunch of guys. I'm fortunate to still be in touch with some of them, but we had some pretty good teams. Some battles with Peterborough. It seemed like we were always
Oh
playing
yeah.
Peterborough for an important game, but things went real well. We lost out in I think the second round of the playoffs to Peterborough, but again was able to make my mark good enough that I was drafted in the first round. So again, I was happy being there. I got my education. I wasn't going to be drafted. I was going to Northwestern to play for Fernie Flannan, who was a teammate of my
Uh,
dad's in Boston. So I was in pretty good situation, I felt. But again, got picked by Kansas City in the first round, and I also got picked by the Toros in the third round, and Mr. Eagleson asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, "Well, my dream's to play in the NHL. I'd like to sign with Kansas City, who switched and became Colorado."
right. Before you even put on a Kansas City jersey, as a matter of fact. So what did it feel like to pull on an NHL jersey for the first time?
Oh, it was obviously a dream come true. I mean, I think everybody dreams. Every young Canadian boy, in the backyard, dreams about playing, and then being so close to it with my dad being a player, and my brother at the time playing in the NHL. It was really special to go to Colorado, and get my first call up was into the Montreal Forum to play my first game in Montreal. Mike Kitchen and I were roommates and got sent to the minors for 10 games at the start. They called us both up and told us our first game is going to be in Montreal, and I was able to deflect one in, and we tied 3-3. So it's a memory I won't certainly won't forget.
Well, we do have a goal from you with the Rockies. It was you making an immediate impact, as you mentioned, from that rookie Caesar. That rookie, do you remember this goal? You're beating Caesar Maniego. Got off to an incredible start in your rookie season, 30 goals, uh, and 30 goals again in your second season in just
Yeah.
46 games as well. So before you got injured, but what happened to you, and how did you how'd you get injured, and what happened?
I got cross checked in at a home game in against Philadelphia. Bob Daly cross checked me into the end boards. We were sort of racing, but I never raced anybody. I didn't have the speed, but Bob cross checked me about the goal line, and I went in head first into the end boards and had a compression fracture in my lower back, and so I was put in a when it all got figured out what had happened, I was put in a body cast for 6 months, and wasn't sure if I would
Wow.
ever play again. But through hard work, I guess, and the good doctors and the Lord looking after me, healing my back, I was able to get back into the playing again the next year.
Well, you end up getting traded to the hometown Leafs. Tell me what was like when you got traded to the hometown Leafs, and how did that
Yeah, I
trade
was.
transpire?
I kept hearing my name being to be traded. Pat Kelly got fired as the coach, and they had Aldo Guidlin took over, who was our head of scouting. And for some reason, Aldo and I just didn't really see eye to eye. And he had drafted a young player named Merlin Melanowski, a great kid and a great player,
Uh-huh.
and he wanted to give Merlin the ice time, I believe. And we were struggling with the hockey team, but I was still leading the team in goals, and I just kept hearing my name. That thought I was going to Chicago. The all kinds of rumors in the last week that I was going to Chicago, and I guess I tipped it off. We were playing in Vancouver, and I wasn't getting any ice time at all. I was really frustrated with it, and a smart aleck kid. And the trainer came in and said, "Spares against the wall," meaning the spare sticks. But I went up and stood against the wall like I was a spare player, and guys got a big, big laugh out of it. But it filtered down to management, so I didn't see the ice in the first period, and sure enough, the second period, I get out on a power play, and Joe, the puck bounced right on my stick, 4 seconds, and I score a goal. And I raced back to the bench and jumped over the boards and sat beside the spare goalie. Needless to say, I was traded a couple of days later. Yeah, so cocky
I love the
kid.
sentiment though.
Yeah. And then
It is
I
pretty
got
funny,
called
I must
into
say.
yeah, I got called into Ray Miron's office, the trading deadline, and I think Ray was a little nervous trading me too. We had a pretty good relationship, and he first told me that I had been traded to Chicago, and he said, "Here, I'll give you the numbers to call, and thanks for everything." And then he sat back down and he said, "I'm sorry, you've been traded to Toronto. Here's Jim Gregory's number." And
Uh,
so I went back in the dressing room, told the guys. Sat there and cried for a while because I'd never been traded before, and I sort of didn't understand
mhm.
it. But I knew I was going to Toronto, and so we were at morning skate, and I got to talk to Mr. Gregory, and he told me he had a 4:30 flight for me. Could I make it? And certainly I could. I sped home and grabbed some clothes and got to the airport.
Yeah, Jim Gregory, great guy. Um,
Yes.
So you got to play for the hometown Leafs for a while. Went pretty well in that first season. Split between Colorado and Toronto. You had another 30 goal year. Here, Ray Pat Boutet fires it in. Nice feed by Jerry Butler, and there you are with a goal as a Maple Leafs. As a member of the Maple Leafs, what'd that feel like at Maple Leaf Gardens?
It was it was unbelievable. It was I couldn't have been happier to put on a Maple Leaf jersey and and play for the Maple Leafs, and walk around with Dad some places. And at the time, I lived, ended up living at home because I hadn't got a place or anything yet. But it was more than a dream come true, and a time that I wish had lasted longer, but it didn't. But again, I got the pleasure to play for the Maple Leafs. Still cheer for the Maple Leafs. We're blue
Yeah.
and white, open for them, and proud to walk around lots of places. I do some traveling with my children, and very happy to wear Leaf hats and stuff. It was great. It was a great time.
Okay, so we got an interview you did in 1979 on Hockey Night in Canada. You were seeing lots of action at this particular time when Daryl Sittler got hurt. Let's roll that interview,
Do
Vic.
you find yourself in any sort of a difficult position when you read and hear things that, hey, Gardner's playing so well, the Leafs don't miss Sittler? You're obviously still interacting with Daryl. Is that ever mentioned?
Well, for a while there, I was feeling almost guilty. Daryl's been such a good friend to me, and we drive into the games together and everything. We miss Daryl Sittler. I'll tell you that right now. He's a leader. He's the guy that makes this hockey team go. And when he gets back, we'll be going even better. And if I go back to the fourth line then, and I'll just try and contribute there too.
Are you expecting that to happen?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think there's no way you can say that Daryl Sittler on the bench and Walt McKechnie and Laurie Boschman are going good. I'll be back probably with Pat and Jerry, and that's fine with me. They're two good wingers, and we work ard together, and maybe we'll get a few more chances to go out, and when we do, we'll just try and do our best.
So there you go. Bring back some memories for you.
Yeah, it does. Again, I did ride in with Daryl and Danny Maloney quite a bit to the rink. Really felt sorry for Daryl sometimes. We'd stop at stop signs or stop lights, and people would be jumping out wanting to get his autograph. Poor man was hounded all the time, but he was great to the fans, and he was very good to me when I got there. He took care of me and gave me some tips and things, and we worked hard together. The other guy, the first night there as a Maple Leaf, Tiger Williams came right in after the game and said, "Good game, let's go. We're going out to eat." And doesn't matter if you got family here, you're coming with the team. And so I had some great teammates. I had great teammates throughout my whole career, but Toronto, I thought we were really close with that group of guys at the time, and we had some great chemistry. And again, it was my hometown, so it's some wonderful memories.
Yeah, really close. Unfortunately, running into Montreal at that particular time, and they were so strong. Yeah, they were just
Yeah,
so
they
strong.
were. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe the best team ever, right? So, uh, okay. So your agent, you mentioned earlier, Alan Eagleson, not the most popular agent of all time, but what was your experience with the Eagle?
Well, I mean, Eagle was good to me. He enjoyed my dad. I think that's sort of where it came from, and Dad respected him at the time. And obviously, he was maybe the top agent in the game as things were going on. And um, when we were having the talks with St. Mike's about coming to the Marlies and Oshawa, Mr. Eagleson was there. Um, so I had a very good rapport with him. Unfortunately, we all know things sort of went downhill at different times, and um, but life goes on, and we all move on. For me, Mr. Eagleson was very good, and Bill Waters was his agent at the time. Billy was really good to
Hmm.
me, and our family. Al Eagleson was the only person in life that could swear in front of my mother, and it was okay. Um,
Yeah.
Alan had that way of talking and could slide in an f bomb or something, and didn't seem to bother my mom. But if David and I
Yeah.
said it,
Oh
there
yeah.
was a whole different. I still every now and then would send a message to Alan and his family, and again, he was very good to me.
So you make it after some trouble with the Leafs and things that weren't going particularly well. What did happen? What was it with the Leafs that things didn't work out for you?
Well, I think Mr. Ballard made a change and got rid of Jim Gregory and Roger Nielsen, and Punch and Floyd Smith came in, and I think they just wanted their team. They didn't want people to
Yeah.
say winning because of the trades Jim Gregory's made and all that stuff. So um,
Wow.
they wanted to break it up a little bit, and every little thing that could maybe go wrong, they uh, they made it worse, sort of, for the team, and players just started to rebel a little bit, and things went downhill very quickly. And then it was time to make some trades and move people on, and I got sent to the minors. I scored my 100th goal in the NHL, and in Detroit, and the next day I got sent to the minors. So it was a frustrating time,
Mm.
and we all tried to battle through it. But I think it was just new management wanting to do things their way and wanting to change what old management had done.
Well, you get a fresh start in Pittsburgh. You became a power play specialist with the Penguins. We got a goal here from you as a Penguin from 1981. Nice tip and by the shot by Mike Keogh. You led the league in power play goals 2 years in a row. Was that a kind of a nice way to say, Toronto, you could have had me, and you know, it's an
Yeah,
opportunity
it was.
that you let get away here.
Yeah, it was certainly nice. I mean, it was when you played Toronto, there was probably a little extra. But again, I was just happy to play back in the NHL. Eddie Johnson gave me quite a bit of ice time, and I played with great players. Ricky Kehoe. Ricky scored, I think, 56 the year he won the Lady Byng, and when he presented the trophy, he said that he would have scored 71, but I tipped 15 of them. So it was a good time playing with Ricky. We had Randy Carlisle running the power play, and Eddie just told me keep getting in front of the net and use your skill. And I was happy to tip and bang pucks in, and it was a very successful time for myself, and some wonderful years there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, of course, Rick Keogh. I said Mike Keogh, but what's the key to power play success for it? What's the key? What do you believe is the key to scoring a lot of goals in the power play?
Well, three things: you got to move the puck fast. You just can't hold on to it because the defenders are so quick now that they'll get in your lane to block the passes or block the shots. But you got to move it quick. You got to think shot, and you got to distract the goalie. These guys are so big and so strong now. These goalies, and they can see around you, that you've got to make it difficult for them to see the clear shot. So I think that's by giving advice to a team, that's the three key things. Make sure the guys are willing to move the puck quick, get some traffic in front, and just shoot. Don't I know the fans yell shoot all the time and stuff, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's get shots through. The biggest thing too. They don't have to be bullets. That Makar from Colorado, he shoots the puck great, but he doesn't
Right.
slap it. Half the time, it's just getting it through on the net, and let the skill guys tip one or bang one in. I wish now I could play on the power play where they can't grab your stick in front of the net or cross check you everything. That would be a pleasure to go into Philadelphia and not get cross checked or have your stick grabbed or whatever. But it's great, still a great
Yeah.
game. It's different. But I think those are the three keys to a good power play.
Yeah, you might have had 50, right? Who knows? Okay, so another clip here. We've got you with the Penguins now, and you and Dave Burrows. Let's roll that interview. Quick.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Oh, it's not working. Anyway,
Well, it
it's
was
not working.
for
Okay.
me. It was a great help to be traded with Davy Burrows because he had played there before. So when we got to flying in and stuff together, he said, "Well, we're going here, we go there. This is this," and and then we ended up getting apartments side by each. So Davy, the first year there in Pittsburgh was a tremendous help to me.
Good to be back in the big leagues, but you got injured a second time. You were blindsided by Jimmy Mann. You first time you're in a body cast, and this is not this is a pretty tough injury too. Tell us about that one.
Well, we were playing Winnipeg, and the game was getting physical, and it was winding down near the end. I'd scored the one goal in the game, but I think at the time it was 4-1 or 5-1, and we were getting a power play, and Jimmy came off the bench to supposedly kill the penalty, and I never saw him. I was talking to Dave Babbage, and we just said, "Let's get this game
Hmm.
over with." Next thing I knew, I was in the hospital. I sort of remember getting to the bench and getting into the shower, and but then they took me to in an ambulance to the hospital, and it was a vicious break. Broke it off at the hinge, straight down here, and then up at the side. Um, so it basically, I missed 21 games, but came back with a mask and played the last few games, and played in the playoffs still with Pittsburgh. But so one year I look back at and think that, I think that year I had 35 goals, but I missed 21 games. So it would have been nice to
Mm.
have a run maybe at 50. But that's life. That's what I got dealt, and we moved past it.
Well, back to the minors. 130 points in 64 games in Baltimore. Pretty impressive numbers. And 61 goals in 71 games in Rochester. How do you not get a deal to get back to the NHL when you're putting up points like that?
I don't know. Everybody just said I was too slow, but I never thought I was. I maybe wasn't the smoothest skater, but I got to where I had to go. I don't. I never quite understood why I never got another big chance. Don Cherry did a show a couple months ago and said, "What happened?" And they were talking about my career, and he said, "What happened?" He just disappeared. He went to the minors, and um, it just came to where I scored 61 goals, and nobody was going to give me a chance. So I just decided it was to step away from the game, and went and moved back to Pittsburgh and was living there. And very fortunate, Jerry McNamara and Gord Stellick called me about a coaching position, and so I was able to stay in hockey. But yeah, frustrating time to be the leading scorer in the AHL 2 years in a row and basically not get a chance to play in the big leagues again.
Yeah, a lot of players have been buried in the minors over the years for whatever reason. It's just that, and sometimes you shake your head and you look at some of the teams that, struggle for scoring. And here's a guy with 61 goals in the minors.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
coaching, yeah, the Newmarket Saints is mentioned. Jerry McNamara, Gord Stellick called you up and said, "Hey, come on up to Newmarket." What was that
Right. Yeah.
experience like for you?
That was it was fabulous, again, fabulous. So many things in my career, my hockey time have been terrific, but I learned that to go back to the year in Rochester, Jerry's son was our third string goalie, Bobby McNamara, and he never played, unfortunately. But I would stay out with him because I was one of the older guys. I stayed out with him and shot pucks and worked on his game with him, and he appreciated it. And, so when Jerry called me, he said, "I've been talking to my son, and he said, you'll make a great coach. Would you be interested in coaching in the American Hockey League?" And I was living in Pittsburgh at the time and couldn't drive there, I guess, fast enough to get to the interview. And interviewed with Mr. McNamara and Gord, and they said, "What are you doing now?" I said, I'm going back to Pittsburgh. I've got a job selling rust proofing." And they said, "Well, you're going to go see your mom and dad?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "We'll call you in half an hour." And they called me in half an hour and offered me the job. And again, it was an experience for me at 30 years old to all of a sudden be coaching in American Hockey League. And, with the Leafs, knew quite a few of the guys, and, some of them were friends. So it took a while to separate being a friend to being a coach. And Gord
Hmm.
Stellick helped that. Gordy was really good. He helped me a lot with that. And it was a wonderful experience in Newmarket there, and got my coaching career started.
Right. Yeah, that would be a tough transition. I mean, these are your buddies, you're playing with them and everything else, and all of a sudden you're the boss, and
Yeah,
yeah, so that can be hard.
exactly.
That can be hard sometimes, I'm sure. Did you ever
Yeah,
run
it
into
was.
any
It was
situations that were really difficult for you?
but not really difficult, but again, there was times like in a practice where I'd get frustrated and say like, do it like this, and Gordy, came to me after and says, you can't, do it better than your players do it. Sometimes you gotta teach them and stuff. But no, I never. I don't think anybody, took advantage of it or anything like that. Again, had some good guys there. Greg Hotham was one of our better players, and in those 4 years, got Jimmy Ralph in goal
Oh,
for
yeah.
us because I him from Baltimore and introduced him to Rick Hodge, which I think got his radio and TV career started. So it was a good time. Lots of good guys.
So you're responsible for Ralphie. Oh, come on, Paul.
Yeah, ask Ralphie
He's a
about
funny guy.
ask him about babysitting my older children in Baltimore. We were all living in a hotel, and my wife came down with my son at the time, who was about 2. And Jimmy said, "Well, I'll babysit your little guy. You can go out to dinner with your wife." And I said, "Oh, that'd be great. Thanks. We won't be long." Well, in the hour or so that we were gone, he had taught him to throw toys out the window and taught him a couple of f bombs. So Jimmy will always be remembered for that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and that was the end of Jim Ralph's babysitting career. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So off you go
Yeah.
to you get an NHL coaching gig with Barry Trotz in Nashville. Tell us about that.
Well, I got when got let go from Newmarket. Pro scouting was coming around, and David Poyle and Jack Button from the Caps had we'd always got along well and everything in our times, and so they asked me to be their pro scout. Would I be interested in that? And it was a perfect situation for me to get back into hockey and get traveling around, and so I ended up being the Capitals pro scout for a couple of years, and then we're moving or we got our minor league team in Baltimore, and I'm living in Washington at the time, and so I they made Trotzy the coach, and we had 11 or 12 rookies, and David Poyle asked me. Instead of scouting for the first couple months, will you go work with Barry and the 11 rookies, and then we'll get you back scouting in the later in the year. But just help Barry get started. He's new and all that stuff. And so I talked to Trotzy, and it sounded like a great idea. And so I helped him for 2 months, and I never scouted another game in my next 10 years or so. We
Yeah,
we
yeah.
coached 5 years in the minors together, and then David Poyle brought us to Nashville with himself, and we coached 5 years there together.
Awesome. And then of course Europe, we saw a picture there coaching in Europe, KHL, Great Britain. What are some of your favorite memories of coaching overseas?
Well, obviously, coaching in the KHL in Russia was quite an experience. There was a strike going on in the NHL, and I had got a call out of the blue. Would I come and coach in Yaroslavl? And the money was very nice. And looked at my wife and said, "Okay, let's go." And so I got to Russia, and the players were great. The facility, the fans were absolutely terrific. Just a little scary sometimes walking around the city or where I was in Russia. You're really sort of well off, or you're very poor, and a couple of times I was a little scared. One night, my wife and I
Yeah.
are walking just to the corner store to get a bottle of wine, and car goes by us, turns around, spins around in the snow, and comes flying back. And we both looked at each other. We're trying to run back in the store, and the guy jumped out and he wanted my autograph. I said, "You don't know how
Oh
you've scared
God.
me to get it." But the people were good there. I enjoyed my time. The president of the team there didn't like the North American way, my way of coaching, even though we won 9 in a row when I got there. thanks to a young goaltender named Varlamov. He was 19 years old
Uh-huh.
and he was fabulous. But again, I enjoyed the players, but they didn't like days off and they didn't like only one practice. And so we butted heads and I moved on. But a great experience. I had some real good times in different Scotland was a lot of fun and ended up my last 3 years in Germany and enjoyed Germany very much. Won a cup there and won the Dutch national championship when I was there a couple of times. So had some great experiences there, but it became too much away from my children. My wife and I had twins that were going into their senior year of high school. And I promised them I'd stay home for their senior year of high school. My son, obviously, a good ball player, and his twin sister was an actress and got a theater scholarship. And I was missing it
Wow.
all being away. So I just made my mind up that that I've done enough, and if coaching comes again, I'll go back later. But I've never gone back. It was wonderful being home with the kids, my twins, and it's been great being around them. They're 22 now, and my daughter works for the Disney Corporation, and my son's going to be a high school teacher and play one more year of college ball, and then hopefully coach some college ball. So it's terrific here, and my wife here has been put up with everything, all my travel, all my stuff, and all my humor. But she's been absolutely terrific through it all.
There's some
And we've
pictures
done
of
well.
your son, Connor, 6'4",
Yeah,
245-pound catcher at Delta State
yeah,
University in Mississippi. And, I got a full ride there after a community college gig. And you mentioned that he's been injured a bit, eh? He's had some
yeah.
trouble with
He
some injuries.
right at the end of his junior college there that you're seeing some highlights of. He tore his bicep playing third base. They put him at third base just for an inning and tried to throw one from his knees and tore his bicep. So he missed the end of that. And then he got to Delta State, just got things rolling in sort of a regular position, and was ready to go this year. And in a practice, tore his ACL in a rundown situation. So he's just got
Mm.
back last week, cleared to practice. There's only a couple of weeks to go in the season and stuff, so we're not sure if we'll get in a game or not. But he wants to play one more year. He doesn't want to finish on an injury, and his fiance is just finishing up nursing school, so they'll both have jobs and hopefully and getting married about a year from now. So yeah,
Awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're inducted into the Leaside Hall of Fame a few years after your brother Dave was. Here's what your late brother Dave had to say about your induction. Let's roll that thing.
And you had the extra burden of having to live up to Dad and live up to me. And you handled them wonderful. And as you can see, it has made you've had an accomplished career and made it the person you are today. I think one day they should probably put Mom and Dad in just for putting up with us too. Then you went on to junior, and after junior, you proved it in the NHL. So, brother, I'm glad you're going to be on the wall with me.
Yes, and Dave passed away recently. I mean, it's got to be difficult, right? Bringing back
Yeah,
that
it's
memory, but good at the same time, right?
it is good at the same time. He was a great brother and great experience. It's like everybody that goes through losses in their family. You do something and you want to pick up the phone and call them, and you just realize they're not there. And but that's life. Again, we deal with what we're dealt. We try and do the best with it. I called my mom for I think her last 5 years every night at 8 o'clock. So it set my alarm and called her. So it became difficult when she wasn't there. But we're just Dougie Shedden said, just be happy we're on this side of the grass and keep going.
It was quite an honor too, being inducted into the Leaside Hall of Fame. Were you taken by surprise by that?
Yeah, a little bit. Again, I had a nice career, and we sort of thought Dad was the one that should have gone in first and everything. But it's to be recognized by where you grew up and by the people that you grew up around. Lots of them were my coaches in baseball or hockey, and to have that honor is absolutely terrific. And um, yeah, to put your name on the wall so other people will see it in years come down. It's great. It's certainly um, a great honor, and I always tease my daughter when she's giving me a hard time about something. I just look at her and say, you're talking to a Hall of Famer, and it just makes her laugh and breaks the moment sometimes. But yeah, it's definitely an honor to be recognized.
Hall of Famer Paul Gardner. What do you think of this current edition of the Maple Leafs?
They're great to watch, boy. It's it's fun to watch their team, and I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I'm sure they are too. They've had enough of reading about what you're going to do in the playoffs. Austin Matthews is special player. How he finds room to get open and then release the puck, and he's got some real talented guys around him. And I hope the pressure doesn't get to them in the playoffs this year, because it's obviously going to be there. There's such a great franchise everywhere you go. People know the Toronto Maple Leafs, and so we'll be pulling for them. My best buddy Eric Anweiler is a huge Leaf fan, so we talk about it all the time, and we're pulling that they have a real successful year. But you got to, even in the playoffs, you could have the best team. You got to be a little bit lucky. You got to stay away from
Yeah.
injuries. And, there's 5 or 6 teams that if they get the bounces or get the plays and don't get injured, you can make it difficult. But they're entertaining to watch. They're grinding away real well, and we're pulling for them.
Yeah, you know what I think is interesting is, Mitch Marner got hurt, but guys like Max Domi stepping up and Bertuzzi stepping up, and Matthews is still getting his goals, even though, his main setup man's not there. So that shows you something. And then, Mitch is healthy coming into the playoffs. This could be really interesting.
Yeah, it really could, and that's the thing. I mean, Austin Matthews is going to shoot the puck. He's going to score, and the teams have video and know where he's going and everything, but he still finds a way. And
Yeah.
um, it's more power to him. He. I mean, again, I certainly enjoy watching him. 3 years ago, when we knew I was finished with hockey, I finally got the hockey package, and my wife bought me a hot tub. So I go out every night and jump in the tub for about a half hour before bed. But I watched more hockey than I probably ever did. And certainly Toronto is one that I enjoy watching, and um, love to see what Austin's doing, and that the guys are supporting him. I think the GM's done a great job in filling in
Yeah.
where he can, and they're headed in the right direction. Whether it's this year or a year or two down the road, I believe they're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Hopefully get the lucky bounces and everything works out all right. All right. Final question for Paul. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, I think just I don't know, be yourself. In hockey, the best advice I ever got was Dad. All he said was keep your head up and work hard. I mean, the last thing he always said to you was keep your head up. So that's the thing that you always remembered. But I think the other thing is just treat people the way you want to be treated, and I really try to do that. I try to think, if I was on the other end of certain things, how I would react, and things. But I've had a lot of great mentors over the years, great people as I was growing up in hockey or in school, and I thank them all for it. But I just try to be a good human that loves to laugh. I love to laugh. Sometimes people don't think I'm as serious as I should be. Deep down, I'm serious. I know I wore ties with Disney characters all over it for about 5 years coaching in the NHL. And I know some people thought, well, doesn't this guy realize, it's a serious job? I said, trust me, I wanted to, there you go. I wanted to win more than anybody. Yeah, just to treat people the way you want to be treated, and everything will go well.
Yeah, the humor, the compassion, we get that out of you, Paul, for sure. No doubt about that. Thank you so much for taking this time to join us. It's been awesome having you on.
Great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it very much.
All right. More when we come back. Thanks, Paul.
Rely on Walton Restoration's 40-plus years of excellence in residential and commercial restoration. Their strong reputation is built on workmanship, professionalism, and outstanding customer service. Trust Walton as your dependable partner in emergencies, serving Durham, Kawartha, and Northumberland regions. Call 905-725-5666 or visit waltonrestoration.com. Experience top-tier workmanship and service. Walton Restoration, the trusted name in property restoration. Join satisfied customers like me. Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca.
When you're injured in an accident, you may be entitled to multiple benefits. Entitlement to these benefits are based on your insurance policy. On a basic policy, you will have eligibility for income replacement benefit, non-earner benefit, attendant care, and medical rehabilitation benefits. It is very important to have a detailed discussion with your insurance broker or agent when obtaining a new policy or renewing your existing policy. Call us now for a comprehensive review of your claim and your policy limits. You do not pay us until we settle your case.
Call Nathan today at 416-289-1236 or visit alliedlegal.ca.
And we want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian and local sports. A reminder, the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, as well as the Spanglish Network, Buzz TV Live, and Zingo TV. Also, check out the show on YouTube. All of our past great shows are on there. Clips, shorts. Like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. We want to thank Paul Gardner for being on the show once again, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in the early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. Let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more. Rooted in 60 years of tradition, Sleepy Hollow is a private golf club with a friendly community of members just minutes from Toronto. With mature trees and rolling fairways, Sleepy Hollow provides a challenging and enjoyable experience for passionate golfers. Enjoy great golf, amazing dining, and a picturesque patio second to none. Visit sleepyhollowcountryclub.com. Joe Tilley here. My wife Penny Claire and I recently took an amazing trip to Egypt and Jordan with Trip Oppo. And here are our top 10 must-dos. Another must-do experience is a luxurious cruise down the Nile River. The ship was elegantly furnished with premium facilities, including a spacious lounge and a swimming pool. The cabins were comfortable, well-appointed, offering panoramic views of the Nile River and the surrounding landscape. I would highly recommend that you book your next trip through TripOppo. Call them today. Guests on Joe Tilley Sports receive a gift certificate from Classica Imports. Top of the line imported men's clothing. Check out the Classica Essential Collection now. Go to shopclassica.com.